Thank you, everybody, for being here this morning. Let's start.
Go.
Good? Go. Okay, sorry. My name is Kate, and thank you for all being here after such a big day yesterday. I've just transferred from a master's to a PhD. Yay! So my path has been the kind of long and windy road. I started off doing a master's and had to get a publication to transfer. I've been a casual academic for about 8 years now. So yeah, everyone's got a different journey, I guess. My program or my project is called an evaluation of a brief online attachment-based parenting program with playful discipline. And my supervisors are Professor Sandra Grace, Dr. Frances Doran, and Dr. Joanne Bradbury. So I've done phase 1 of my project, that was the master's, and I'm just about to do phase 2, which is a fully powered randomized controlled trial. So the phase 1 was a pilot study. Phase 2 is coming, so I'm kind of, I guess, right in the middle. And something that I developed when I was transferring from the master's to the PhD was just a little bit more in the theoretical framework of the whole project. So I'm actually going to focus a little bit on that today. Okay, so just to give you a perspective, change of gears from complex patterns. So 69% of Australian parents have reported feeling stressed by their child's behaviour at least once a week. So this was a poll taken by the Royal Children's Melbourne Hospital. I think I just said that wrong. Royal Children's Melbourne Hospital 2018. And in this poll, they also found that 45% of these parents felt that they lacked confidence in understanding how to manage their child's challenging behaviour. So with those statistics in mind, what is on offer for Australian parents who are experiencing challenging behaviour with their children? So one of the most common kind of recommendations for parents who are experiencing challenging behaviour are what are called behavioural parenting programs. A really popular one that was developed in Queensland is called Triple P. Has anyone heard of Triple P? Anyone done Triple P? Okay. So this is a really widely disseminated behavioural parenting program. There's lots of these different brands all over the world, but Triple P happens to be one that you'd probably hear about here. And the basis of these programs, the discipline approach, is based on what's called operant conditioning, which means that they use a system of rewards. So it could be like praise or stickers, prizes, stuff like that, and low intensive punishments. So planned ignoring. So if the child's being annoying, you ignore them and they will supposedly stop doing the annoying thing, or time out for more severe misbehaviours. So this is a strategy that's commonly used in education as well. I see education people smiling. It's just kind of been accepted as the gold star for behaviour management in young children. But what research has found is that these strategies don't always work. And if you're a school teacher, you know they don't always work. I used to be a school teacher, by the way. And not all parents find that these approaches are acceptable. They might not be culturally acceptable. There's a whole bunch of reasons why that parents don't like using them. But one of the big things I noticed, and this is the kind of light bulb moment I had, I took an interruption and I had a few months to kind of think about things. And I thought, has a child's voice ever been explored? How do they feel about being subjected to timeout? How do they feel when they're ignored by the parents? How do they feel when the parent's like, okay, I'm going to make a sticker chart for you? Now, I know that everybody in this room has probably experienced something like this. So you've either been in school or had a parent, or you are a parent. So just please know that I'm not judging. There's no judgment here. Parenting is a very emotive topic, so I just wanted to say that. So that's where I came across the child's rights. And I realized that there really is no literature out there that has ever explored the child's experience of these discipline strategies. Like, I mean, no. like I couldn't believe, I actually couldn't believe it. I thought I must be missing something. So I emailed Triple P, I emailed all these big organizations, and I said, have you ever done any studies to look at how the child feels about rewards and low intensive punishments? And they said, no, that's interesting, but no. But there are thousands and thousands of research articles that support the efficacy of behavioral parenting programs. And this strategy goes almost unquestioned in education. It's just universal. This is just what you do. So, yeah, so the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child states that the child's voice should be heard, especially in program development. And I was kind of like, oh, did I just discover something? Like, are we violating the rights of the child by not including their voice in program development? Again, this is a side project. This was a scoping review I did in my spare time. So. But I did find that, luckily, education has done a few studies. It's very messy to interview young children. It's hard to go into people's homes to find out how they feel. So luckily, education is a bit more organized. All the children show up at one place at one time, and researchers can interview them. So can anybody guess how many studies I found from the education that actually looked at the child's experience? Anyone want to take a guess? There's more than one. Less than 10. Yeah, 6 studies. 6. Yeah, 6 studies that I could include have actually explored the child's experience of these discipline approaches, and nothing on very young children. And the reasons might be, oh, well, they can't talk, they can't express themselves. But the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child says it doesn't matter how old they are. They still have the right to have their voice be heard. So what I did find was this whole list. There's no point on this, is there? There's a whole list here of the child's experience. Number 1, you'll see excited. There were some children who were excited by the prospect of getting a sticker. But on the same study, this was on children in kindergarten, they also felt that the sticker charts that the teachers were using reduced their joy in activities. They got worried. They were scared, fear, frustration, and distress that they might not earn their stickers. These are 5-year-olds. And then in another study on praise, praise is so heavily recommended. I'll use praise and it gets the child to do what they want. Well, there's only been one study that I could find that asked the children how they feel about praise. And that study found that the children said they would rather avoid getting praised because they know that has the ability to make other people feel bad. These were 7-year-olds. They didn't like it. They also, there was one study ever been on timeout, and that was done in preschools, 4 and 5-year-olds. And this was 21 years ago. That's the only one. But timeout research is thought to be exhaustive. So that they thought, well, we've researched everything about timeout. It works. What's the problem? But only one study on the child's experience of it. And these 4 and 5-year-olds felt like, this was in preschool, they felt that they were disliked by their teachers. They felt sadness. They felt fear. So anyways, the last 2 points I put in there, planned ignoring. These are about ignoring. Now, there's actually no studies on how children feel about being ignored, but there has been meticulous work in the US on ignoring in adults. There's one researcher, and he found that when people are ignored, it causes pain in the same part of the brain that physical pain is felt. So the only difference with emotional pain is that it can be felt over and over again. Another study on ignoring babies crying found that the babies, once the baby stopped crying, their cortisol levels still remained high. So this is all I could find on how experience of ignoring. So anyways, this is what I found. And now that I've just trash talked behavioral parenting strategies, like, okay, Kate, what am I going to do? Because my kid still drives me nuts. So this is my study. Can you just tell me how much time I have? Sorry. 6 minutes. Okay, so the other type of parenting programs are called attachment-based parenting programs, and these are based on attachment theory, and these tend to be targeted towards more high-risk populations, so they tend to be more resource intensive, which means that they might have numerous sessions, they might have one-on-one instruction or video feedback. So they're quite intensive, and they're not really geared towards the general population usually. But they tend to not use timeout or planned ignoring. although they do use some types of praise. And they have been criticized for having a kind of vague discipline approach, kind of like what I just said. Oh, just don't do time out. Like, what do I do instead? My kid's still driving me nuts. So the program that I'm evaluating is called Aware Parenting. And this is an attachment-based parenting program developed by Dr. Lisa Saltaire. And it's based on attachment theory and trauma theory. And it has a very specific discipline approach that doesn't use behavioral discipline strategies. So no timeout, no ignoring, and like no use of rewards and praise for eliciting cooperation. It's not to say that we never praise them, but not in order to like get their cooperation. And the whole idea is that we're accepting their emotions. So if they're crying, they're raging, these are healing mechanisms that help the child release emotions and help them be more willing to cooperate. And so there's a playful discipline, kind of, it's the cornerstone of the approach is a playful discipline approach. This didn't make sense, sorry. But so there's a few different types of games that we play. And what you see in the picture is me playing a pillow fight with my son. And this is actually one of the discipline strategies that we use. And this is a type of what's called a power reversal game. So often in our children's life, they feel very disempowered. Maybe you remember feeling as a child frustrated that you just had no power in the situation. And so a power reversal game gives the child the power to feel like they're in charge in that moment. So I pretend to be very weak and he's very strong and he can knock me over and I'm like, oh no, please don't hit me. Ah. And the whole purpose of this game is so that afterwards he actually becomes more cooperative because he's had that chance to feel like he's had some say, like he had control over me in a world where he so often has no control. Other types of playful discipline are nonsense play. So these can be really good for times when the child might be feeling incompetent. Let's say you've got a 3-year-old who can't put the shoes on properly and they get frustrated and they feel incompetent. The parent comes along and says, oh, I'm really good at putting my pants on. And you put them on your head, or let me put my undies on and put them on your head, and they laugh. And the laughter is very healing. And they don't feel so terrible for feeling so incompetent. If that makes sense. And then another one is present time, where we just give that child maybe 5 minutes a day or 30 minutes a week, where we just give them our attention, not trying to make it educational, not trying to be a teaching moment, just being present with them and letting them take the role, doing whatever they want. So these are kind of the basics of aware parenting. There's lots more to talk about if I had an hour. But we did a pilot study in 2020, even though COVID tried to derail the whole thing. But we did it online, and it was in a single session. And I measured parental efficacy and empowerment. We found an increase in that for the parents who took the program. Also decreased behavioral problem in the children from using these playful discipline approaches. And we also found that there was generally a really high acceptability of the discipline approach. All the parents in this program liked it. They said, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. It was not what they were used to, and a lot of them had trouble remembering what to do, but it seemed to apply to them all. And they also found that it was practical because it was in one session and it was done online. The qualitative findings were that we found that all parents want to be the best that they can be. And we also found that there was a reframing of the child's understanding of the child's behavior. So they saw their child's behavior in a different light. They saw the whining, the crying wasn't just to get attention or attention seeking, that there was an unmet need, and that's what we had to address, is the underlying need to the behavior. And then also that a brief program was enough. This is one of my favorite quotes, just doing present time. And instantly there was a difference. I didn't have to wait 6 weeks to see a change or anything. It was automatic. It was so simple and basic. And then another one, this was from a father, is that I feel I've got a lot more tools in the toolbox, so to speak, a few more options than just getting cranky and saying, do that again and you're going to get a smack. So he had a 4-year-old son and he really liked the playful discipline. Thanks. This was a little qualitative paper, yay, that got published just a few days ago. So that was great. So cool. And that was the very first paper on playful discipline that is ever. It's really cool. It's exciting. And then I've presented at a few conferences. They're just awesome, online conferences, and seeing how other people were implementing online parenting programs. One was in New York City in the middle of the night. I presented at like 2 in the morning. It was awesome. I was tired, but it's really cool. So the next phase is just expanding on the pilot project and doing a fully powered randomized control trial. And just one more thing, no, I'm not looking at the child's experience yet, because that's not part of, I just don't have the scope in this. I know I just went and trash talk, like, there's nothing, but that was just kind of this like finding, like a secondary finding. I'll get to that one day, but I would have to argue that having a pillow fight is more fun than sitting in timeout. So I think, just like to acknowledge all my supervisors and people who've helped along the way, my 3 case studies that I have used all these approaches on, and it turned out pretty good. So thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Congratulations on your paper. Big
I have 2 questions.
Yes.
Can I ask them in parts? So the first one is, I'm aware of your study because I've known you for a little bit, and I have also been using your stuff on my little case study also.
On your what, sorry?
On my little case study.
Oh, your case study.
Byron.
Yes, your son.
Yeah. I found that when I was using timeout, which was something that I thought was a good thing to use, is that when the technique that I used when he came out of timeout was, can you tell me why you were in timeout every time? And then we would hug and off he would go. He would never be able to tell me the reason he was in timeout. No. And it wasn't like him being obstinate. It was he did not know why he was in timeout. And that was like...
How old was he?
He was maybe 4 or 5 when I was doing that. So he's 9 now.
So I'm so glad you mentioned that, because children under 7 or 8 have almost no concept of time. They're so in the present moment. So they actually can't like remember, or it's not that they can't remember, it's like they're so, you know what I mean? They're just in the present moment. So it's gone. That emotion, that feeling, that thing that they did was just gone.
So I do a lot of the techniques that you taught me. And now when he goes to school, he's getting the discipline-based stuff at school, and he'll come home and be like, I got in trouble today, and he'll talk to me about it. And I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, I don't know.
I know.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so it's the same sort of thing. Like they don't know why they're being punished.
No, because it's a disconnection. It's not like there's an unmet need, and that's why they're doing something. And when you just address the behavior, you're not getting to the root cause of it. There's never going to be a change in the behavior. So that's why the connection is so important, and understanding feelings. And so this can be applied to schools as well. And absolutely. There's a woman, an aware parenting instructor, near Melbourne. She's got a school, and she's an aware. She owns a school. So if anyone wants to know more information about that, Woodline Primary, it's awesome. Yeah, so she does this playful discipline.
My second question is, when Channel 9, you'll probably laugh at this, Channel 9, when they put on parental guidance, when I watched that, I just thought of you. I was like, what does Kate think of this? So I want to know what your opinion of that was.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I saw it.
Did you? Oh, it was like all the different types of parenting, and they were
they pit them against each other. I remember watching one once when
and there was an attachment parenting style.
And they make the attachment parenting look like it's so labor intensive, and who would want to do that?
And they made the kids look really naughty.
Yeah. No, I remember watching something like that, and the thing is that sometimes attachment parenting can go into permissive parenting, because sometimes people think, I shouldn't discipline my child. So this is not, aware parenting is not permissiveness. It's not letting your kid do whatever they want. It's setting those loving limits, saying, no, you can't do that, but yes, I hear you're upset. So it's so like this, I could talk forever about it, but yeah. Thanks.
I completely resonated with everything you said, and I wanted to ask 2 questions. One question was, how did you gather your participants? So where did you find them? Obviously,
online.
Online. So you just put a
online.
Call out to people asking would they like to participate?
Some were from the uni, some were students, and some were just random people. I put it on a couple parenting Facebook pages.
Yep.
So because it was at the start
people
of COVID.
People are interested. Yeah.
I got people sign up. Yeah. I had so many people within like 2 weeks. I had to stop. I had to stop recruiting people.
Yeah.
So
And then the second one was, is the desire to scale it up and to take it elsewhere. And obviously, if somebody's using it in a school,
that's something,
because I see completely that it would be applicable to a school. But then the basis too of the children's rights and the children's agency, and that children should have a voice in education or in their home life. And I think that's what is represented here, is when you're labelling the behaviour instead of, loving the child. And knowing the child. As a teacher, that's what I think part of the things that disconnect is that we don't have that connection with our students, and building relationships is the backbone of, good relationships and learning.
There's time fatigue as well. Like when you have you spend time with your children at nighttime, and you have decision fatigue from all of the things that you've done during the day, and you just forget to spend time with them. Proper
it's
time.
only like five minutes. That's present time is 5 minutes, and it can make a huge. The woman who gave that quote about present time, by the way, had one foster child and one biological child in the age, so between 2 and 4. So she was and she had teenagers. She said she used it on an autistic teenager. She used the same approaches, and she said she couldn't believe it. So it's not just for young children. It's all ages.
There's your next and there's your headline on Twitter. There's your headline to get onto Channel 9 to some of those silly ideas out there.
I think if we could take the playful discipline component, that's something we could even say to Triple P, because it's so huge. Like, hey, would you like to learn a little bit about playful discipline? And then, it could be something. Instead of saying, why don't you take my program? Just this little part. It's not my program anyway. So I think I've gone over time. Sorry.
Parents are so thirsty.
They are.
Because you all want to do the right
thing. Of course.
thing.
That's what we found.
A parent who doesn't want to do the right thing. Sorry. I'm just making a comment. It resonates. At parenting, I think we're all children of parents, and
well, that's what we found in our qualitative report, was that every parent wants to do their best.
We want to do the right thing. And I mean, my kids are teenagers now, and they were timeout kids because it's what I knew.
It's what you do.
Meanwhile, they were very good at it, and we have a great.
But
my son used to put himself in timeout. At the age of 2, he would go and put himself on the step, and he'd be like, "What are you doing?"
Because they want
he's like,
your
I hurt Abby, and I'm in timeout, and I'm like, oh.
They want your approval that much. I know, because they just want you to love them. That's all they want. Yeah.
But a very simple thing to do, like the things you mentioned, as a parent, I would have taken it and I would have gone, I'm giving this a go, because you do anything.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's all about education of parents and finding. I mean, I know about Triple P, but I never did it. It's too much work.
It is hard work. It's actually just as much work to do all these rewards, sticker charts, and it is. It's more. Sorry, I've gone way over. I'm sorry.
And I'm potentially sorry.
We can talk at morning tea.
Talk later.
Who's next? Thank you.